Hello, I am Ruby Northcutt.
And I'm Karen Wilson, and this is the Up Beat.
During the show, we will be talking with individuals from within our own community and beyond.
We'll discuss topics and issues that are relevant to our guest and the multifaceted roles they take on in society.
This is the Up Beat. Welcome to the Up Beat. I'm your host, Ruby Northcutt, and today we're very excited. We are welcoming to our show, the Up Beat, Miss Carmen O'Connor, health coach and graduate of the Integrative Nutrition Institute. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But what she does is she's going to discuss nutrition, and she's going to tell us all about her business, Eat Well, Live Right. Welcome to the show, Carmen.
Thank you, Ruby. It's great to be here.
Your life, as we discussed in a prior discussion, is so interesting. Let's talk about your credentials a little bit first before we get there. You were a English lit teacher, still are.
Yes, I'm a private tutor. Actually, I've moved that into being a reading specialist. So I work with children and adults, too, with neurological disorders. And that's actually how I sort of got into the nutrition thing, was I became very interested in how nutrition affected the brain and behavior and learning, and so that sort of was a connection to where I am today.
Now, let's go to your experiences in life, because you've had a lot of experience, I guess, tasting and working with different cuisines because of the way you traveled.
Well, yes, right out of college, I got married. My husband was a yacht captain, so we spent 15 years working on private yachts. And I cooked on the boats. I wouldn't call myself a chef because it wasn't that fancy, but I did a lot of extensive cooking. And I worked for a French family, and I worked right out of college, so that was an amazing experience because I really didn't know how to cook those foods, but I learned quickly. And really learned how to improvise, because on the boat, if you don't have the right ingredients, you better make something up because the store is not around the corner. So it was fun. It was really fun.
Now, I'm very interested in the health coach and the nutrition aspect of your business. Let's talk about Eat Well and Live Right and what your business is all about.
Okay, well, as I said, I got into the nutrition, helping my families with these kids with neurological disorders, and I was so fascinated by what I was learning. I found out about the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York, and that I could do the whole course online. And we were talking about some of the amazing speakers that so many people have heard about, such as Andrew Weil and Dr. David Katz from Yale and Walter Willett from Harvard. I mean, these are people that are in our everyday news. Dr. Oz is one of our speakers. Everybody knows Dr. Oz. So it's just an amazing amount of education and information. And what our program is based on a 6-month program where we meet with an individual or groups twice a month for 6 months. And if I'm doing my job right, I'm listening and allowing that person to really talk and share what's going on in their world. We like to focus on the primary foods first, which are your career, your spirituality, your relationships, your fitness. You know, what are the things in your world that make you a balanced person? And
so you look at the whole spectrum of that individual. And these individuals, once they contact you, you start there, and then it's a 6-month program, and you assess them initially?
Yes, I do a free 1-hour consultation, and then it's their choice whether to continue or not. But that's always that's the starting point. And then, you know, it's bio-individual. You know, whatever eating style you have is not going to be the same as anybody, even in your family, because everything plays into it, genetics and age and the way you were raised and what you like to eat now and what you might want to change. So it's my job to support and guide the individual to achieving those goals over that 6-month period.
And once you made this turn to the fact that you're going to organics and you're wanting to encourage people to eat organic foods and prepare it organically, you also are developing a farm as well in that respect.
Yes, that sort of was another step in the whole journey. We have a farm out in Walling, and we've just started 2 very large, probably way too much over our head, but they are large organic gardens, and a lot of fruit trees and raspberries and blueberries and strawberries. And we've gotten some chickens, and the goal will be to have some grass-fed beef and start out small, but be able to have it for ourselves and our family, and certainly you know, some for sharing commercially as we grow.
Now, once a person makes a decision to go into a different type of, I guess, committed lifestyle, that they're going to eat better and get the right foods, what do they say or do that you can help them with once they come to you?
Well, I think the important thing is again, looking at the individual. I noticed that water is a huge issue with most people. They just don't drink enough water.
That was the point I was trying to get out there.
Now, I could easily say, all right, get rid of the soda, just drink water, but that's not going to work. So I like to crowd things out. You know, if you're going to drink 4 or 5 sodas a day, let's say we have a water after each soda. So you try maybe to mix that in. You can only drink so much liquid in one day, and chances are over a week or 2 you may not be drinking 4 or 5 sodas a day. You might be down to 2 or 3. You know, it's a process, and baby steps I think are very important. If you do things too fast, too harshly, then you know, people are going to give up.
Well, I've heard of some systems where you drink water prior to meals, but I've always felt like that it would be better if you took it in increments, which is what you do, and that's part of the integrative, I guess, way of changing your food style and picking what is right for you to eat or what is right for your family. And once you make that step, then you can go the extra mile, and you know that there are places where you can get that type of food. And
absolutely, and I think it's a matter of education. So many people just don't know in today's world really where their food comes from or what their choices are. So as a teacher, I love bringing that in and saying, I know sometimes I'll go into people's homes and they'll say, let's go through the cupboards and the pantries and let's read labels and let's see, you know, if the yogurt you're giving your children, they love yogurt, but is that really yogurt or is it just sort of candied stuff in a tube? Let's see if we can get to the yogurt and throw some fresh fruit in it. So little incremental changes that can have a long time, you know, effect for health.
we talked about that a little bit earlier. Let's go back to the label reading. I've heard several different points of view on that. How important is it that we take the time to go and pick specific grocery items and read the label?
I think it's the beginning of
Where
the whole...
does that rank?
It's the number one. It's the beginning of the whole educational process. Dr. Katz has a wonderful video for kids called The Nutrition Detectives that I'd really love to get into the schools and stuff because it teaches just that. And he says, how many ingredients in an apple? One. That's it. But how many ingredients in an apple fruit tart? You know, or
several.
Right, several. So if you're going through there and it has high fructose corn syrup and hydrogenated oils and all of these wonderful things that the technology has given us to preserve foods, to make them taste better, are turning out to be not so good for us.
Now, that's a little bit a part of your program. You actually do go to people's homes if they ask you to, and then you actually do go grocery shopping with them, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, because I love to cook, so one of the things I really enjoy doing is, you know, helping a busy mom figure out how can I afford, and time-wise and monetarily, to feed my family as healthy as possible. And that's menu planning, you know, learning how to cook things on the weekend that you can throw those leftover things maybe with some pasta on Wednesday night after baseball, and you've got a good dinner. So I really look at meals that can be made in 15 minutes.
So that these individuals, once they start on your program, they also know how to start dealing with and preparing what they need to take some of the stress out of their lives so they can plan ahead.
And stress is one of the biggest focuses probably in the school.
I know it is for me as well as a lot of other people that I know. And quite frankly, how do you specifically deal with that with some of your, I guess, clients?
The stress? Breathing. Breathing is probably the #1 thing. None of us really take time to breathe properly and to get enough oxygen into our cells. And the minute you start to do it, even on a really small scale, it calms you. So there are a couple of activities. In fact, Dr. Weil has a wonderful activity that takes less than a minute, twice a day. And he claims he has changed people's health dramatically by just teaching them to breathe. And
How important is exercise with your program?
well, you know, it depends on the different speakers. They, you know, and again, I think it's an individual thing. If you've never exercised and it's stressful and a burden to you to do so, then, you know, then I think you've got to find other ways.
Alternate.
But, you know, there's no question that if you can move 20 minutes a day, it's going to get your heart rate up. It's going to get oxygen into your cells. It's going to make you feel better. That whole bit about endorphins and all that really is true. Just a little walk. I don't think it means you really have to go to the gym and work out hard with weights for 2 hours every day. You don't have to do it. But a walk once a day or twice a day, or just staying active, and then you know, and some people want more.
Well, we're going to get ready to go to a commercial break
Okay.
here, and we'll be back because Carmen is going to prepare one of her wonderful salsas.
Salsas,
Right,
easy.
and we're going to taste that after a while, and we hope you stay with us. We'll be right back. This is the Up Beat. Welcome back. You are watching The Up Beat, and our very special guest today is health coach Miss Carmen O'Connor, and with her business Eat Well and Live Right, and she has brought a recipe to share with us today, and she's going to prepare it for us. And what have you got for us today, Miss Carmen?
Well, Ruby, I have brought a salsa that is really, really easy to make, and it has just 4 ingredients, which is just the kind of thing most people want to do. Everybody knows about regular salsa, and this in itself is a very, very healthy dessert. I mean, you can look right at the labels. I'm a label reader, you know, gluten-free, which is really important for many people, and the ingredients are so simple and raw. Crushed tomatoes. And crushed tomatoes have a tremendous amount of lipocene in it, which is a wonderful protector against cancer and heart disease, and even has the ability to help level your blood sugars, which is a big issue today. So the tomatoes in here are a #1 ingredient that is really important. Onions, people don't really think about onions as being a helper of digestion, but they actually do. You know, you hear most people talk about onions giving them indigestion. Well, it may be something else giving indigestion, because it turns out onions actually aid with the help of digesting. And again, there are many, many powerful properties in onions that help lower cholesterol and protect against cancer and heart disease. So there's 2 good ingredients. The third one, which I really found interesting, is chili peppers. Chili peppers actually reduce inflammation, and everything we look at today has to do with inflammation in terms of disease, from diabetes 2 to even autism now. They're talking about maybe a form of inflammation. So doctors are always looking for ways to reduce that, and that's the silent inflammation, not the kind that makes us sore from when we're running or playing sports, but the actual silent inflammation that we can't feel.
The ones we don't really know about.
Correct, the ones we don't know about. So it turns out that chili peppers has such powerful properties in it that researchers are studying it now as a way of treating everything from arthritis to diabetes, neuropathy, and psoriasis. So already, before we've done anything to this salsa, we have some really powerful foods in here.
So this is your foundation ingredient for the salsa.
This is it, and you know, this is pace. I like it because it's chunky. There are so many out there. You pick your own kind and pick your own heat. I like medium because people come over and you don't always know how hot or how hot they're going to like it. So we've started with that. Now, to make it a really beneficial food, we're going to add some protein and fiber with black beans. And black beans are something people are really not quite sure about all the time, and one of the big issues is obviously the gas. So a couple of things to know is that if you cook your own black beans, soak them overnight, throw away the water that you cook it in, that you soak it in, and then cook them really well. and drain them and rinse them. These happen to be canned, organic from Kroger's, and I did rinse them and let them dry. So
when you do your recipes, you actually, when you do grocery shop, you do search for the organic foods to put into your recipes.
I do. There are some that it's really essential that you find organic to avoid the pesticides, and there are others that are not so important, and so I really try and pick those that are most important. Black beans is not essential, but I like the fact that you can get it organic and it's not that much more expensive.
It gives it a real color too. It adds to the texture as well, to the salsa.
It does, and it makes it very filling, and fiber, of course, is so important for also, again, digestion, especially in the lower intestine with black beans, really helps with all sorts of colon issues. So beans are very, very essential to our everyday diet, and wherever we can get them in, I find children will eat this, which is great because most of the times they don't like beans, but if you put it in the salsa, you can introduce it to them. So they have...
smells good already.
Doesn't it? It's just the beginning, right? So they're really max benefits here in the black beans. So to that, we're going to add corn. Now, a lot of people think, oh, corn's full of sugar and it's too sweet, but it really, again, it has amazing properties of health to it. It has folate, it has vitamin B1, which is great for memory for those of us getting older. It can help lower homocysteine levels, which is great for cardiovascular protection. So,
oh, that brightened it up.
Doesn't that look pretty?
Yes.
So now we've got another element in the color, and fiber. Corn is great with fiber.
And I think that it's appetizing when the food itself has a color. It brings it out, and it makes it more appetizing.
You definitely like to add things to it. We used to laugh about dishes, plates that were all white and everything on it was
exactly.
white.
I remember those days.
So our fourth ingredient is very interesting, and that's avocado. And avocado's got a very bad rap for being fat and having a lot of fat. And they do have a lot of fat, but it's really good fat. And as long as you consume it in moderation, it's not going to be detrimental to your health. In fact, it can be very helpful to your health. One of the interesting things about avocados is that if you add it to a salad, you're going to increase the absorption of the carotenoids, which is actually one of the phytochemicals, by 200 to 400%. So you've had a good salad with all your cucumbers and your peppers and your onions and and you add this, and it helps absorb.
It helps the digestive process.
Well, it's the
faster.
fats, and it helps the absorption of all those other phytochemicals. So not only is
I'll
it
have to
good
remember that.
in salads, but in salsa it'll do the exact same thing. It'll actually help with the absorption. And avocados, like onions, help with the control of sugar levels. So it's another, part that makes it important to add. And when you put it all together, you've really created a very filling, very healthy snack. And I find that, if I bring this to a party, everybody wants to take a little leftover home, and my cousins love to put it on their fish tacos. So, you could do it as a fish, as a chip and dip thing, but you can also incorporate it into all sorts of other things at home. So that's it. It's about as simple as could be to have this really healthy, colorful salsa. And
now, before we taste test it, don't let me interrupt you.
Chips.
We want to talk about what you've got sitting in the bowl here.
Okay, not everybody's ever seen the blue chips, and they're just blue because there really is a corn that is blue corn. And I love the way it just looks to have the blue and the yellow. But these are both organic, which I like to buy the organic corn because it's not genetically modified, and it's not that much more expensive than other chips, but it's very flavorful and definitely better for you. So we've got the chips and the salsa, and we've got a very healthy, very power of food.
And nutrition.
What I call it. Nutritional. I'd love to talk about the power of foods.
Okay, there's another aspect to your business that you do,
Yes.
and that's called the Science of Juice Plus.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, Juice Plus is part of my journey to being a health coach as well. I found out about it while I was tutoring and found out it was a great bridge to nutrition for my students and their families. Not something that you would want to replace foods, but that you want to add to, literally to bridge the gap. So it's 17 fruits and vegetables. These are the chewies, which are like a gummy, and adults and children, alike really love them. And they also come in a capsule. And I really, really felt strongly about the research that was done behind Juice Plus, the fact that they oversee their farms and they juice everything whole and raw. I love to juice, but it's messy, it's time-consuming, and it's expensive. So this is a very affordable way to really get more fruits and vegetables. A big variety, because we want variety in our food. And it's hard to get it, blueberries in the winter and papaya year-round are not things that we're going to get. And it's very organ-specific, and that's something we don't always think about, is what are we eating and how is it affecting our organs? And I was going to read you this quote, actually, by Dr. Lou from
I think our audience would enjoy that very much.
From Cornell, who I think really explains that better than I do. And what he says is that different plant foods specifically, have different phytochemicals. And these substances go to different parts of our body, our organs, our tissues, and our cells, and they perform different functions there. So what our body really needs to ward off disease is a variety of these fruits and vegetables, so we get a synergistic effect. And if we eat that variety of plant foods along with grains, we are really going to do our bodies a lot of good for prevention of things that are down the road. Aging.
You had to use that word again, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a big part of it. It's a big part of it.
And I think there was another quote that you wanted to
Yes, I
use.
can't remember offhand who says it, but I really love it. And that is, if we don't take care of our bodies, where else are we going to live?
I love that. But I also wanted to tell you that this Juice Plus, this has got the garden blend. These are the 4 soft chewables that you can get with this as well. And
that's the fruit and the vegetable. And then it does come in a berry as well. These are the really powerful antioxidants with the various berries and grape skin and green tea extract and the really powerful antioxidants. So when you combine these 3, you're getting over 23 fruits and vegetables in your body every day. And that doesn't mean you should skip eating really well.
Okay, that was going to be my next
water.
Okay.
But you want to add it to it for the variety. It really can make a big difference.
Okay. I think that we need to let our audience know how they can get in touch with you.
Well, the name of my company is Eat Well, Live Right, and my website is just that, Eat Well, Live Right. My email is Carmen at Eat Well, Live Right, so you won't forget it. And my local number here is 931-657-5646, and I love doing free health histories with people and seeing where I can be supportive to their goals and their health and their lifestyles.
Now, while I taste test this, we want you to please come back to the Upbeat. We have enjoyed this segment with Miss Carmen O'Connor, our guest health coach, and we will see you the next time on the Upbeat.